white. This is more than that. This is about racism. This is about bad training. This is about feeling like somehow you become superior to the rest of us if you can prove to the racists that you're just like them. So yeah, I'm black, but I'm just like you and I can't stand them either. Like, there is so much more happening in the situation. This is a big ass onion, and the layers are just, you got to peel them back and peel them back and peel them back till you get to the core. There is so much more happening here. And the man has been trying to keep me calm for the last few days because every time I even think about it, I start going off the deep end about all types of stuff. So here's of late, my conversations have been hard to follow because I'm just agitated. So try to stick with me. If it doesn't make any sense, I go live on Facebook all the time. You can come in and ask me, what were you talking about right there? And something something else before I get to the other thing I was going to talk about that I need y'all to stop doing. Stop jumping in people's comments and going off on them because they're speaking up, or stop jumping in people's comments. Oh, you better take that down because your platform will never grow, or you'll never get this. Anybody who has a problem with someone speaking up against racism, against hatred, against violence, is probably not somebody you wanted to work with in the first place. Anybody who right now listens to my podcast and says, oh, you know what, we're going to shut her down for racist, period. Because you should be on the side of, you know what, that's absolutely right. And we need to start getting out here and fighting for what's right. Because there are, as one young lady told me, she was like, as a white woman of privilege, I could step outside of my house right now and could talk to a cop absolutely crazy and he will not touch me. And I know this. She was like, but you guys don't have the ability to walk out your homes without having fear. That shouldn't be. There is no reason that I have to sit and almost go into a panic anytime one of my daughters leaves the house, because we're talking about black men and the protection of black men. But understand something. There were a lot of black women who got shot by officers. And I'm going to take it a step further. They're killing black men in the streets, but they're raping and abusing these black women and tossing them to the side. Nobody's believing their stories. And that's just the ones who didn't die. So it's not just black men out here. Do you know how many black women have talked about being assaulted by an officer? A woman who spoke up years ago saying she was raped on the side of the road by a police officer. Nobody ever believed her story until other stories started coming out on the same officer and he finally got arrested. He was attacking black prostitutes and all types of stuff. Women on the side of the road that he figured nobody would believe them. It was the middle of the night. Nobody would see them. But you don't see their names all over the media, or you see that you don't pay attention because she's still alive. Well, a part of her died that day. So how about we put them on the list and act like we want to protest for them the same way we're protesting for everybody else? It's all of us. Y'all got to stop separating stuff by, oh, well, it was men and it was women, it was black and it was white. Stop it, because that is why the movement won't go any further, because we want to break it down to the smallest molecule. And now all of a sudden we're only protesting for black men, like we forgot that black women exist. Like we forget that there are people who are not black who are out here on the front lines. I just watched them fling a white woman like a rag doll because she was trying to say to an officer, she wasn't even screaming or putting her hands on him. She was saying to the officer, what you guys are doing is wrong. And he bodied this chick like she was a football player. Like the way he hit her was just wrong. So we know what caused all of this. We know racism is at the heart of this. But like I keep saying, you have to stop making it just about this one thing. Because there's so much more to this. And if we focus in on just this one thing, we're never actually going to fix the whole thing. You have to be able to focus on all of it. Because like I said, it's not just white officers that were coming at us. I saw several on camera, several black officers who were going and chasing after black folks. There's more to this. And you're definitely not going to get anywhere setting buildings on fire. And here's why I'm saying that. And I understand people are angry, and you should be angry. And I understand why people are protesting. You should be protesting, and you should have your voice heard. And you should be out here yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs, because this is ridiculous that we even in 2020 have to still do this. This is the type of stuff that my mom and them went back through back in the day. My mother was born in 1947. This shouldn't still be a thing, but it is. But if I've learned nothing else from, hell, even my own family's history of starting riots and such, is the one thing you don't want to do is burn down Walmarts and Targets and things in your own neighborhood. Because you've just given an assist and an alley-oop like you would not believe. And I'm going to tell you why. When they were protesting in Los Angeles, they sent out riot police. They did not send out riot police because they were trying to stop the riots where they were. They sent out riot police to make sure that nobody ever crossed the line into more affluential neighborhoods, Beverly Hills, areas like that. They did not want people to cross over into nicer neighborhoods. Now, they will lock down and start shooting real bullets, not just blanks, if you try to go into some of the more affluential neighborhoods and start burning down and rioting and looting. Okay? So, what does that mean? That means that in your neighborhood, you just set a Target on fire. You just set a Walmart on fire. You just burned down several grocery stores. Well, we don't like y'all no way. And yeah, Target and Walmart and such will lose money. But if we just rebuild in nicer areas, and y'all can get mad at me if you want to, but you know what I'm about to say is very true. If we just build Walmart and Target and stuff in nicer areas, when this protest and everything is over with, you're going to have groups of people who were out there in the streets protesting, who, when everybody calms down, because I've seen this several times just in my lifetime, and I was born in 73. I've seen the protests and everything happen, and you give them about 4 or 6 weeks, and the protest and stuff is over, and everybody goes right back to their everyday lives. And then those of us who have the ability to go out into nicer neighborhoods and shop do just that. But for the people who don't have the ability to get out to nicer neighborhoods and such, you just burn down all the stores in their neighborhood. And these stores have no intention on building back up in those areas. If they do build up in those areas, they build those areas up to the point where they make it too expensive for the people who originally lived there to ever stay there again. So now everything in your neighborhood is all new, fancy, and high price. They're going to put in new homes and condos and stuff. They're waiting for you to burn down your own areas so they can rebuild those areas to where you can't afford to be there. They're waiting for you to burn down your own areas. So when these stores rebuild out in nicer neighborhoods and they decide to start over again somewhere else, guess what? They cut you completely out of the equation, because now Target moves to a better area, builds up another Target. We're not coming back anywhere close to where we originally were at. Now, some of you either have to figure out how to get out to the better neighborhoods, or you just ass out. Not to mention the fact that the stores that you burn down that are in areas that they don't really care about also took away jobs from people who live in the same areas with you. So you basically just bit your own people in the behind by deciding that it was okay to level stores and malls and things that are more so put there for your area and your people. These stores are where there was a lot of black folks who worked in this one Target store that I saw that they were burning down. The majority of their employees were African American who just became unemployed. When that store goes back up, I guarantee you it will not go back up in that same place. If there is an area on the outskirts that's a nicer area, they will go and put that store over there and you will figure it out, or you won't work here. And now it's not, oh, well, they built this into a nice neighborhood and they're being racist because most of their employees are Caucasian. No. You burned down the one we had in your area. Now we can move over here and we can do what we wanted to do in the first place, but we wanted to make it look good, so we didn't. Now we can be in nicer neighborhoods, only hire who the hell we want to because you can't get over here anyway, and we can keep it pushing. So burning things to the ground defeats the purpose. All it does is put you behind the 8 ball. It does not make things any better for you. As a matter of fact, it makes it 20 times worse. Of all the things I've seen in the protests and all the things that I've heard, that is the only thing I cannot get behind, because I've seen what's happened in areas where they've decided they were going to start setting things on fire. And the next thing you know, those areas became poorer and poorer over time because those resources didn't go back to those neighborhoods. They didn't rebuild in those neighborhoods. That for years, in one neighborhood in particular that I'm thinking about, those houses, they ended up leveling the entire neighborhood because half the houses were burned up. So they leveled it. Then they decided that they were going to bring new fancy stuff. And then they have these grants and things, if you don't know about this, where they get teachers and police officers and such to move into certain neighborhoods so that it can raise the value back up. Well, okay, now we have all these professionals here, so the prices are going up. And as the prices are going up, the people who are still there can't afford their taxes and things anymore. After a while, these people start losing their homes. We flatten all of it. And now we can build this neighborhood up into what we want it to be. Now the officers are really going to patrol over here because this just became an affluential neighborhood, and we're not about to have you come back over here and mess it up. Now I'm telling you what the mindset is. Now, you can believe it or not believe it. But you're going to keep burning down stuff that is at your fingertips. And you're going to keep burning down stuff that you need. And you're going to keep burning down stuff that's going to take away jobs from your people. And come this time next month, when this blows over, because it always does. I have yet to see a protest where people are just like, we out here and we're going to stay out here until we actually see a change. When this blows over, you are going to be left trying to figure out what you are going to do. Which brings me to my next point. Starting your own businesses. Buying into businesses that are actually working. Buying into businesses that are doing things that are healthier for you and your family outside of stores like Target and Walmart. Supporting those businesses. Instead of going to Bath and Body Works, I know at least 25 people who make organic lotions and things right now that smell way better. I know people who are selling body oils and different types of items that are way better than anything you can find on the shelf. Organic and natural shampoos and all types of stuff. But we won't spend 5 cents on that. If you would start putting your money back into your own area so you could build your areas up and make them self-sufficient and build up your communities and make them stronger and build yourselves up to where you now have a foothold in your own areas. Because see, most of us live in these neighborhoods, but we don't own nothing in them. And we don't spend money in them. If we do. We're going to go all the way out to the more affluent neighborhoods because it makes us look a certain type of way to other people. Stop worrying about what it makes you look like to somebody else and start taking care of your own areas and your own communities. And that doesn't mean that you cut off other neighborhoods and cut off other communities, but understand something. And I had a young lady actually say this to me. And she was like, coming from an Asian American family, she was like, we will buy as much as we possibly can within our own area, within our own community. She said, it doesn't mean that we don't buy from Black-owned businesses. It doesn't mean we don't buy from white-owned businesses. She was like, but the majority of our money is spent within our own areas to build our people up so that we can take care of one another, so that we can build wealth amongst ourselves. And it doesn't stop us from spending money elsewhere. But what it does is it allows us to spend money elsewhere, but still know that we're spending most of it here. And that if anything happens, we can actually take care of ourselves and we can take care of our families and we can build that wealth so that the kids coming up under us don't have to struggle the way maybe that person's parents did. That is the only way that you build up wealth within those communities.